All right, guys, I'm here with Jon Fitch today, the former PFL champion. Everyone knows him from the UFC. I mean, you were there for a long time. Definitely disrespected, in my opinion. I didn't like the way they treated you. That was big. I've heard many things of what happened. Could I ask you really what did happen? Because I hear this and that.
It's political. I could see very clearly what they were doing early on, that they were not operating as a sport. They were operating as pro wrestling. What they were doing was illegal. It was very illegal. The way they treated athletes was illegal. It was 100% exploitation from the beginning. The way they came into power, the way they bought the organization, everything was just, it's all unscrupulous, behind the doors, dirty shit. They're dirty people. And they are abusing fighters, and they have concocted a pro wrestling fan base who looks at fighting like it's pro wrestling and expects it to operate like pro wrestling. So like it's this like anti-boxing type crowd that doesn't really watch anything other than MMA and pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating because those people, they want pro wrestling. That's what they want. So like they want the control. They want only one title. They want the guys to be in these shitty draconian contracts that give up all of their rights, all of their images, gets no pay in return. Like people are happy with that. That's the fan base that they've curated, and it's very difficult.
Yeah.
A lot of problems with me was that I was calling them out on that. I was like, this is supposed to be a sport. You're selling this to people as a sport. You're selling this to commissions and states as a sport, but you're operating like it's just a production. It's a television show. It wasn't a sport the way they're operating. It still does not operate as a sport. It does not. It is a production, 100% production. They don't have world titles. They have promotional titles.
Yes.
It's a joke. It's a joke. And it's insulting to all the athletes. And I'm a little disgusted and let down by all the fighters out there who blindly just follow along, sucking Dana's cock for peanuts. Freaking Conor McGregor, he's getting ripped off worse than any other fighter, and he's walking around like he's some big shot. He's sucking Dana White's cock so hard, and he's getting robbed blind, and he's acting like he's a big shit. It's crazy. It's madness. These guys are insane.
I was just going to ask you, I was going to say, is it the Conor McGregor era? Like, do you think he was one part of that ruined it? Or do you think he was just
No, it was them. He's a symptom. He's a symptom. He took advantage of the situation. I don't even care about him. I don't care about what he's doing. That's fine. But there needs to be some element of sport, and they've kind of erased all of that. And now they're in a shitty position right now because they have a lot of bills to pay. That's why they're pushing so hard to put these cards together. And then the guys like Cejudo, like they're going to start waking up and realizing, oh shit, these guys really need me right now. So they're going to start holding out and they're going to start asking for more money. But it's not ever going to be what it should be if they would go to Congress with me and the other guys and lobby and talk to the politicians who are business owners and lawyers. We show them our contracts and they're blown away. They can't believe that this is operating the way it is. It's unbelievable to them. Anybody who has a legal degree or has run a business knows that what they're doing is illegal and they're exploiting their athletes. But the guys won't quit being little bitches. They're little bitches. Yeah, sorry, you go fight in a cage, but you're a little bitch and you bend over for Dana, and I don't really respect that.
Is Dana actually in charge now, or is he more of a front man? That's where I'm a little confused.
He's a front man, but I think he does come up with a lot of slimy ideas. And but you know, it did switch over to WME, and they're just as slimy. I mean, these are the people who represent Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
I mean, their lawyers, their law group, the lawyers that are defending them in the class action lawsuit, that's Harvey Weinstein's lawyers. These are the kind of people you're dealing with.
Wow.
Like Conor McGregor got to come to the U.S. He had 19 convictions. Yeah. 19 convictions. How does anybody with that many convictions get to travel into another country? That's slimy business. That's slime. Sorry.
Yeah. And it took, like, were you always treated bad, do you think, by the UFC? Because at the time you had, like,
I was ignored. I was ignored because they're a TV show. All they're doing is trying to put on a production. They have characters, right? Oh, this is a perfect character. Let's push this character, right? Yeah. So if you're a character they think moves the needle, they're going to use you. Or if they already have that character cast, well, then they don't need you. they'll use you as a feeder or they'll push you out because they already had that. So like when I was there, they already had a high class grappler striker. They already had GSP. He was already there. They didn't need me.
Yeah.
If I would have come out and I would have acted like Koscheck, or if I would have acted like McGregor or somebody else, they would have ran with me. But like I made a hard decision that I don't want to be a pro wrestler. I want to fight. I want this to be a real sport. Like I thought there were great things ahead of the sport. I had no idea that the UFC was going to be able to monopolize and destroy it the way they have.
I feel like they gave you the wrong edge of the stick, kind of like the Tony Ferguson way, where you had to win a crazy amount of fights even to get a title shot, and I thought that was totally wrong. Where Matt Hughes would get a title shot after one win.
It's the difference between a company man who's willing to play the game of pro wrestling versus somebody who's an actual fighter who wants to fight and won't suck Dana's dick.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you find a difference between? I've heard really good things about Bellator. I've heard that Scott Coker's doing great things over there. Are you enjoying your time over there compared to UFC?
They're doing a great job, but the problem is the whole underlying structure of MMA is corrupt. The idea that a promoter can control the title and exclusive contracts of the athletes, that's corrupt. That's corruption. The baseline model of the business is corrupt. Everything that happens after that is going to be corrupt. So it doesn't matter how nice you are, how good of a job you do, like you have to behave in that manner to operate. Otherwise you'll go out of business.
Okay.
Or you have to act worse, which is why we have bare knuckle fighting now.
Yes.
Right? Because that's not boxing. They're subverting the rules. They're getting around the rules of boxing, and they can't compete with the UFC. So what do? They change the rules of the fight up, call it bare knuckle fighting. Like I could create a promotion that's all elbows and knees. And I could go out and I could sell it with this business model, and I could be shittier and probably make a lot of money.
How do you feel about Mike Tyson going into that, or for $20 million?
Mixed feelings. Part of me, wants to see it because it's Mike, but at the same time, he's 50 something, and on top of that, I don't like the idea of any of these combat sports prize fighting. I don't like the idea of prize fighting taking place without the coverage of the Ali Act. I think that's a problem.
Yeah, you see Everland, Holyfield, and a whole bunch of other guys coming out right now, and it's just kind of sad because it's like, do they need money? Is that what it comes down to?
I mean, a lot of these guys and it wasn't that they didn't make the money. They were really bad at managing their money. They spent it wrong. Yeah, they spent their money. They had lots of money and they spent it wrong. The problem with MMA fighters like Mark Coleman is they never made the money. Like they didn't make the money to blow necessarily.
Yeah. Is there a difference between, you even think, if you look at inflation, that the pay is that much different from the 90s compared to now? Like, is it that bad?
I mean, they pay, the dollar sign is higher, but what you have to pay attention to is the percentage. Okay. And they did a report, the percentage of event revenue, 20% of event revenue, less, like they designed their business to pay no more than 20% to the athletes, which really it's close to 19%. But like it was higher. It was like 24, 26% of the pay before Zuffa came in and started making more money and then cutting the percentage down. So the dollar sign is a little bit higher, but the percentage is way lower.
Wow.
So they're paying a smaller percentage of the money they make to the athletes who are making that money for them. On top of that, they don't take care of their fighters that built them up at all. They don't take care of anybody who built them and put them out there with damaged brains and damaged bodies.
So you don't talk to Dana White at all anymore?
I never really talked to him at the time.
Okay. He seems like one of those guys, if he has a problem with one of the fighters, he kind of runs away from him, is what I found. And when he does have a problem,
he's a coward.
Yeah.
He's a coward. He won't say shit to your face. He'll say a lot of mean shit in a back office with a bunch of subordinates and then send out some mean emails. But he's such a pussy.
Unless you have a character like a pro wrestler, and then you get a movie if you're Tito Ortiz against Dana White, right?
Well, I mean, he knew that thing was never going to happen. That was just
Yeah.
whatever. He was playing the pro wrestling game again. He's building this thing up, knew it wasn't going to happen, and he was going to turn it on. He has the power of the media. So he has this ability. It's like, our CIA has the power of our media to turn the opinion of everybody in the country on politics. They can do the same thing because every MMA reporter out there has to toe the line of what they're saying or what they're told to say, the talking points they're given. Otherwise, they get cut out and they can't do business anymore. Wow. Like look at the lack of questions and the lack of follow-up questions around Conor McGregor's sexual assault problems.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing. It's a big thing going on, and it's silence, crickets. There's a lot of evidence. There's a lot of stuff. This guy Jason Vermis did a lot of reporting on it. There's a lot of stuff in foreign local magazines and newspapers and stuff like that. There's a lot of info out there floating around. None of these reporters even tried to touch any of it. They scooched past it as fast as they could. Now, of course, innocent until proven guilty, but I think there's a real problem when people can't even talk about something. When you can't even bring up questions about something without being attacked, that seems like something's up.
When you're on that Conor McGregor level, though, like you came with, like, we know Bill Cosby, all these celebrities, like even Floyd Mayweather was attacked in a way. Do you think, like, you kind of look at it and go, man, these guys don't need to go after women and do it that way. So it's hard to believe in a way. You know what I mean? That's where
don't have to, but Cosby did.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a thing. True. Like, I mean, there's a lot of people who act like nice guys, and that's their sexual strategy is. I'm going to be a nice guy, and then I'll do whatever, and then I'll eventually give it up. I don't know. Like, you never know. Like, this one of the stories that came out from that Jason Vermis covered. He's got a YouTube channel. He's on Rock also, but he discovered that it was like a party in a room and a bunch of people after hours. It was a room full of people. It wasn't like some secret private one-on-one thing. Like, somebody in the room is what reported it. It wasn't even the girl.
Wow.
So it was a witness reported it. It wasn't the girl. They offered to pay the girl off £1 million. She said no. So, like, the case is still going. We'll see what happens. But
he's fought since then.
He's fought since then. There's only an 8% conviction rate in that country, so he's a good chance he gets off.
Wow. So do you think?
But it was like the reports were like it was violent. It was a violent, like, she slapped him or something, and then he beat the crap out of her and raped her in front of a bunch of people. Like, that's the story. I don't know if it's true. Like, look into it. But there's some evidence out there people aren't looking at.
A lot of time when you get that big two, they can get it covered. Money does anything, right?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be. Would it shock
Harvey Weinstein? Look how long they covered up for that guy. It's the same company, WME, the same people that covered up for 30, 40 years of Harvey Weinstein raping people, are the same people covering up and making things and making decisions for the UFC right now today.
Like, we know Dana White definitely knows what happened that night or whatever. Like, it's just not being said.
There's some people who know what's going on. Well, Dana's in his own problem with banging that stripper in Vegas, and the guy filming it, and like, this guy's a creep. Like,
oh yeah, I'm not a big fan of Dana White. I just don't think. I think he's a front man. Like I said, I definitely think there's other people running the show.
Oh no, definitely, he's not that smart. He's definitely a figurehead. There's people behind it pulling the strings, but like they're all in on it together.
I just don't like how he's unprofessional in the way of he's standing out there. And I was watching the post press conference, I think, for UFC 249, and he starts going off against this lawyer. I can't remember. I don't know if you've seen it. He was saying that this dweeb and
yeah, because he's freaking out because the guy caught him.
Yeah.
They made the guy sign. They have the paper. They put it in the newspaper. Like, it's a real thing. He's trying to say, it was something else. Like, he can 100% lie. You can read what the contract actually says, and you can see what Dana says. Liar, 100% liar. And he's attacking this other guy because he's a boxing guy and whatever.
Yeah, and he says he knows everything about boxing, right? But
yeah, he gave another statement the other day about how they're putting their plans on saving boxing on hold for right now.
It's been 2 years since he announced Zuffa Boxing, and we haven't seen anything but a T-shirt. So shows how much he knows.
Because he can't do this shit that he does in MMA and boxing because of the Ali Act. He just can't. Like, the contracts they have are illegal under the Ali Act. Champions, as soon as they win the belt, they become free agents under the Ali Act. You get to look at their financials, so you get to see how much they're making off of every show, everything you're involved in. Like you get to audit them. That doesn't happen in MMA. And the contracts where they stack contracts up, like, oh, hey, we have a fight agreement for you. I know you're out of money and you need to fight right now. We got your bout agreement, but we're not going to give you that bout agreement until you signed this promotional agreement for 8 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, okay, you sit and you don't fight and you don't make any money, or, you sign and we get you for 8 years for bullshit money.
Is the fighter union still happening, and was that something you were a part of?
The Mixed Martial Arts Fighters Association has been around for a decade, right? The problem is we have a lot of people who they're kind of brainwashed. It's a what's that thing? Stockholm syndrome, right? Where you start identifying and cozying up to the people who are kidnapped you and are abusing you, and it's just
Cerrone, for example, he's part of it.
Yeah, like the amount of money these guys could be making if they were on their own. Conor McGregor, for example, if he walked away from the UFC, Khabib, if they walked away from the UFC and opened up their own promotion in their home country, how do you think they would do financially?
Bad.
You think Conor and Khabib would not make money if they did their own pay-per-views in their own countries?
It's hard because you've seen like people like Nick Diaz do their own
That's not the same. That is not the same. Nick Diaz does not have the following Khabib had. They don't have none of those other guys have the following at Khabib or You're breaking up a little bit here.
That is true.
You're breaking up on me here. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, all right. You got me back now? Okay, yeah. No, I'm saying that like Nick.
I got you yet?
You got me? Am I back yet?
I think so.
Okay. Well,
we're good.
Okay. So I'm saying like Diaz doesn't have the pull that Khabib and Conor McGregor do. You watch those guys go to a mall in their home country, thousands of people show up. Okay, those guys could do their own show. Mickey Hatton, or was it Ricky Hatton in Ireland? Like that's what he did.
Ricky Hatton.
He was his own promoter, and he promoted himself at home for the majority of his fights. That's where he made the majority of his money. Like he fought guys, would fly guys in, bums from other places, and he's a champion because the Irish guy beating up somebody from somewhere else. These guys could do the same thing.
Well, but they're just locked in a contract, right?
Yes, 100%.
So you fought Rory McDonald last. Are you still under contract with Bellator?
3 more fights, yeah.
And are you going to fulfill that, you think?
If they offer me something interesting, but like it's just the money. The money's not there. Like the amount of time, effort that I have to put into it, the damage it does to my body, and the time away from my children. Like I've been doing this for 17 and a half years. Like if I fight this summer, it'll be 18-year long career, and I'm only worth 63 and 63. Like I don't even get guaranteed pay. Like this is a bullshit sport. Sorry. Like I haven't lost since 2014. I'm still a champ from
being paid properly.
Nobody is.
PFL.
I mean, it's not a free market. It's a controlled market. I say it's like communism because you have one entity that soaks up all the money and they decide how to.
I felt you got robbed against the. Yeah, I definitely thought you got robbed against Rory McDonald. I thought you took the belt from him. Was that a rematch you wanted?
I would have, but we were in the tournament, so they had to wait until the tournament ended.
I never understood that. I think that something should have went down. Like you should have got a fight right away.
Should have figured it out.
Was there any talks for a fight?
Well, they had me come out as a backup in case Rory couldn't fight Gracie, but that was only a few weeks after, so like there wasn't a big gap in between those fights because they needed to keep moving the tournament along.
Did you get paid for even being there before with like showing up for Gracie or?
Well, yeah, they paid me that, and that was nice. I think that was a really cool thing that they did. They paid me as a backup. So like I kept training, and I had a certain amount that I would have been given if I did fight, and then they paid me just to show up and make weight. So like I had to like, man, you can see on my timeline on my Instagram, like I had a week off that I was like, oh well, I'm done, whatever, bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, we want to pay you, come make weight again. So I had a week
Yeah.
where I blew up, like ate everything. So I had to like lose like a bunch of weight like in a week because I plumped up in that week off. But yeah, I basically took a week off and then went right back into training and got ready for New York.
Would middleweight ever be an interesting fight for you?
Middleweight, I mean, it's possible. I guess again, it comes down to if is it interesting and am I going to get paid?
Yeah, it's all money. Before I wrap up, that's really what I'm so happy that you talked about the Dana White situation. I've had a lot of people ask, and I just really wanted to get the truth around it. Was there a certain fight in your career that really defines what you did?
I don't know. I think
Like
the Eric
in
Silva.
memory, like what is your favorite moment?
I think the Eric Silva fight was one of my favorites. I mean,
Yeah,
George St. Pierre fight and that whole title thing was awesome. But like, that the whole event, because I saw the end coming. I knew what the UFC was doing. They're trying to get rid of me. I
yeah,
stumbled. I needed money. I fought injured against Johnny Hendricks, and I paid dearly for it. You look at pictures of my body, it was awful. Like I had no cardio. I didn't do any wrestling. Like my knee was busted most of camp, like all the camp. I hurt my knee the first day of camp. So, yeah, I would say, coming from where I was for that Eric Silva fight is probably one of the bigger ones.
and you finally got that fight of the night that they had to pay you because you put on such a great performance. They kind of
Hmm.
screwed you with
Yep.
money and
That
everything. So
they brought me in to lose that night. I was supposed to lose that night and get cut.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Eric Silva was supposed to be top guy, and they still kind of made him seem like, oh, he did such a good job, and they more gave him respect for that fight than you, I
Yeah.
found.
Yep.
And he went on to not have the best career, and they totally disrespected you. Um, did you also feel that there might have been a judges versus a BJ Penn fight? Was something played there?
Well, it was Australia and no commission and untrained people. That's already a scenario not set up right.
Yeah,
It was supposed to be the worst part of it was supposed to be a main event fight. It's a main
yeah.
event fight, and they said before that all main events fights were 5 rounds, and then after a couple weeks they went back and said, oh no 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 no, not this one. It'll be
Wow.
starting after this fight because they knew it was going to happen, and that was what they didn't want me to have a shot at the title. So they did everything they could to put me in something in between me and the title. So then when BJ came in, they said, okay, it was our last chance. This is the last guy we got that might be able to beat him and get him to go away and shut up. And it was a draw. So like, we got stuck. But then I had some shoulder issues, and my shoulder was misdiagnosed for a full supraspinatus tear. It wasn't. The UFC made me go to their doctor. Their doctor stalled the surgery for like 2 months. I couldn't understand why. Like, why should I wait to fix my arm? Like, why can't we just get it done? The reason was because they wanted to make me go to a UFC fan expo in England.
Crazy.
And if I got my surgery right away, I would have missed it.
Wow.
Yeah. So they forced me to go to their doctor. I had surgery that I didn't need. They made me wait extra 2 months to get the surgery. I'm lying in recovery. I come up and the guy's like, oh, well, it looks like it wasn't torn. You didn't really need the surgery, but we cleaned the shoulder up for you anyways. 9 months to recover. Like, these people stole like freaking a lot of time where I could have been competing and I was really close to the title. The games they play, man, it's wild.
Wow. And the majority of the majority of the people thought you won the BJ Penn fight too. So
should have been finished. The ref should have stopped it.
Yeah, it was definitely up. It was crazy. I really feel bad for like the way they treated you because you're a great athlete. And you just got to look past and go, I'm better than UFC. Hopefully they have what comes with voices like you, I hope it all gets sorted out. It's good to hear actually people not run from the truth. Um,
It's not going to get any better unless people make some noise. Like the improvements that have made from 2010 until today were made because people like me were running our fucking mouths.
yes,
Like when I started with UFC, the pay for base level was 3-3,
it's
right? So like
crazy.
they were like at 5-5 when we filed the lawsuit. They bumped the pay for the low tier guys up to 10-10 when we filed the lawsuit. That's why they did it, because they wanted to like have an argument. Oh no, we play them just fine. Blah blah blah.
There's still people making, isn't there, like 13,000, 13 and 13 there,
No, it's
something like
your
that?
your entry level in the UFC, right, is 10-10. Your first fight in the UFC is going to be 10-10. That's the average, right?
Oh
And
wow,
you get the Reebok. If you're in the
which is
first tier of the Reebok, it's something like 3,500 maybe. That could be a guess. So you're looking at, you lose your first fight, you made $1,300 or $13,000, 13,500 before taxes, before you pay your coaches off.
how are you supposed to make a living at that? Like
You're not, and they don't want you to.
some
It's
people
purposeful.
make more.
The UFC does it on purpose because what they want to do is they want you to starve before your next fight. They want to be able to
Wow.
force you into signing a contract. That $1,300, $13,000 doesn't last very long. So when they offer you a shitty fight next, like what are you going to do? Oh no, I can't. Oh, you're injured? Well, if you're injured, well then they extend your contract until you can fight again. If you turn
Wow.
down a fight, they'll extend your contract for longer. So you get stuck with them, and it's longer without getting a fight or making money. They
Hmm.
starve you on purpose, force you into fights when you're injured, when you're sick, when you're outmatched. Like
So a lot.
the level of abuse, it's ridiculous. And I think some people are waking up finally, but like it's really gross. And if you support Dana White anyway, you're probably a piece of shit.
Yeah. I didn't. Yeah, like I said, I didn't like what he said at the press conference. I listened to his stuff, but
Like
just
what drives me
I've never
crazy
been a fan.
too is like guys like Mike Tyson, right? Mike Tyson hanging out with Dana White. Like, does he not realize that Dana White is 100 times worse than Don King was?
Yeah.
God, I'd love to see what Mike has to say about Don King. Don King never owned the title. Dana
Yes.
White has all the power that Don King has, and he owns the title. Don King never owned the title. He had to pay people off to get things done to influence the sanctioning bodies. There are no sanctioning bodies in MMA. Dana controls the title. He is the sanctioning body.
And that's where I was talking about one with the union. When you see like people like Donald Cerrone, and then you see him like, I want to fight 4 times a year. I'm a big businessman. I'll fight anytime, anywhere. It's kind of, where is he? Is it because he's
He doesn't
forced?
know. He doesn't know. I don't think they really know. They don't understand. They don't understand economics. They don't understand their own worth and value. A lot of these guys, it's Stockholm syndrome. They believe that they wouldn't be anything if it wasn't for Daddy Dana leading them around and helping them out. They don't
Uncle
understand that
Dana.
they call him Daddy because they're sucking his dick. They don't understand how bad he's screwing them over and ripping them off. They think he's like their God and helping them. They do not
Wow.
understand.
Yeah. But I honestly really appreciate your time. It was great talking to you today. I'm sorry about the little bit of connection there.
No
And
worries.
I hope to stay in touch.
Yeah, man. It's good talking to you.
Yeah.
Make sure you send